is also. Eshe is here.
Yeah. Hey.
Welcome.
Woo.
I, of course, am your host, the Wolverine. So thank you for coming on. We had a good time listening to your songs. So if you people want to hear the music, go listen to the podcast supplemental episode 27.1, I think. And then you can listen to the music because that'll be through Vimeo. I don't want to explain how that goes anymore. Just do it. And so we talked about some of the rest of development, some of the soul stuff. You have any shows coming up that you wanted to promote to my vast audience? Yes.
Well, actually, I've been doing a lot of shows around Atlanta, performing a lot of my material. I've been doing a lot of hosting, and I actually have an event that I'm doing at Apache on this Thursday, July 18th, and we are raising money for actually the PR person. She was a PR person for Arrested Development for many years. Her name is Dee Dee Shoshada, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer last year. And it was just put on my heart to do a fundraiser for her. She's into the holistic lifestyle.
Right.
And I'm totally down with that because I'm into that as well. And we're raising money to just help in her healing. And we're just believing that she is healed, and she's dealing with it. And she has a big family, beautiful kids, great husband. So just trying to help out any way we can. So got some of her PR friends, and we all just pulled it together. We have some amazing artists that will be performing that night, and I'm hosting. So I'm excited about that.
Okay. Are you going to be performing as well?
No. I'm just going to be running my mouth.
Fine. I'm sure you have something to say.
Yeah, just hosting and having a good time. And, a lot of times I like to kind of sit back and chill and watch other people perform since I perform a lot. So I'm looking forward to that.
I get it. I understand.
Even though I'm still working, but I try to make it fun always.
I played 2 gigs back to back this last weekend.
Yeah.
And my body was just like, screw you.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. What the heck is this? What are you doing to me? Mm-hmm. I forget because I don't look my age that I am my age.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
39.
So, I'll be 39 in December. When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
January 25th.
Oh, shucks. Okay, I'm December 23rd.
What is that?
What sign, Zodiac? I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn.
And you are an Aquarius.
Yes.
My dad's an Aquarius. His birthday is February 2nd.
We're the ones that have podcasts in our bedroom. Next to my bedroom. So let me ask you this. So what is your take on astrology? Do you have any specific thoughts about that? And
no.
Because some people swear by it. Some people think it's a bunch of snake oils or whatever. And other people, you have to sort of take into consideration that there are things that are beyond our understanding.
Of course, definitely.
So, if you gave an iPhone to somebody in the 12th century, they would think that this was some witchcraft.
Right.
They wouldn't know what was going on.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm like that with iPhone now. How about that? Yeah, I'm such a dinosaur when it comes to technology. But no, it's like you said, I know some folks that swear by it, and I don't. I think it's.
Do you tend to see some similar characteristics of some of the
I
people?
don't really study it like that, so I don't know.
Every Aquarius that I know is freaking just on their own path.
That's funny.
Every single one of them, without fail.
Well, if I had to judge all Aquarius men by my dad, I don't know if that would be right.
Okay. Then there was that thing that came up a few years ago. They talk about, whatever your sign is, you're not that. You're actually this.
Yeah, I heard that.
Excuse me.
You're funny.
Hundreds of years of calculations can't be wrong. We can't just one day go, wait a minute, somebody didn't hold the 2.
Right. I think it's just how you're brought up, man, and just the influences that you've had in your life. And, it's so funny, I don't know. Some people use, I guess, that I know. Let me just say this, that I know personally may use, oh, I'm like this because that's what a Cancer is, or a Taurus, or whatever. They use it, they want to, if they have it, right. If they have an attitude or something, that's just how I am. That's how we are.
Doug Stanhope has a bit about that. He says that you don't act as if your parents had sex like a month earlier. You wouldn't be, feeding me chili dogs and letting shit slide. Right.
Like you would be different. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think it's all in maturity and just, everybody's different. That's all.
I don't know. Yeah. I think there may be something there. I can't, but here's my thing now. At this point, I don't know if you're experiencing the same type of thinking. I'm just really at a point where I don't really believe much of anything unless I know it from my own experience.
Gotcha. I understand.
So it's difficult for me to get on board with any of this stuff that's in the media, and there's always like a buzz thing in the media because the rest of my constituent friends of Facebook are people that stay connected with the news.
Right.
There's gonna be something that's gonna trickle through there,
of course.
And then so when it does trickle through, it happens so much that I'm like, all right, let me Wikipedia what the hell this is. What are we talking about? Trayvon and Zimmerman. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but immediately I started seeing these different opinions. Some of them from was one guy, and I think it was in Ohio. This black guy was just pissed off, but he was totally going off on the fact that this stuff happens all the time, and if you just because there's a race-related situation with it, and they decide to pick this one because there's stuff like this going on all the time. But there's stuff like this going on whites and whites and blacks on blacks. So their position being, if you're gonna make a big deal about this, then you have to make a big deal about all the other ones that are going on. And the media tends to like to pick things that are sensational they want you to watch.
Of course, yes.
And that's difficult for me to get on board with it. If you had like the news, which if you think about the news is like life. Okay, there's a lot of mundane, boring, sitting in traffic.
Right.
There's a bunch of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of good stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to show the news, then it should be balanced like that.
I totally agree.
It's not. It's 99.92% negative.
Well, I don't watch TV. So when I do I'm either at someone else's house. I haven't had a television in my room, I think, for 3 years. And
do you feel like your IQ is increasing? Seriously, I mean that sincerely. No, I'm serious.
The way you asked that was funny.
Okay. Well, Speech and I were in the same church for many years, and there was this thing that Steve Sapp, one of the ministers at the time, had challenged the church to do. He was doing it himself.
Right.
It's called a World Fast.
Yeah.
Remember that? Did Speech tell you about it?
No, I didn't. I don't remember. I don't know. What year was this? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, where you kind of go like on a media fast.
Probably the 90s. Yeah, the 90s, okay, like 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
Right.
You can read your Bible.
Okay,
and you can talk to people.
Gotcha.
But you can't have any kind of stimuli. No music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was cool because it was kind of scientific.
Right.
It wasn't getting into, because there was no mandate to do this.
Right. You
this
did
was
it on
just
your own personal.
a challenge. There's another challenge that says you can put, just so you can feel what it's like to just be burdened constantly, you can put like a really small pebble in your shoe. And you can just walk on it all day, knowing that the pebble's in there.
Yeah.
So that was like, that's a hard challenge to take. She's like, hell, I don't want to do that.
Right. No.
That's going to suck.
You're so funny. No, I do fast all the time, for spiritual reasons and just, I just like disconnecting from the whole world in that sense of the word, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and all of that kind of stuff. I'm a really hands-on person, so I love to read. I love to get out and do things. And I just think that the television, you sit in front of it too long, before you know it, a whole day would have gone by and you did nothing but watch TV. And you're being program really with all the advertisement and TV shows, and I just don't personally want that in my spirit. I try to be very conscious about what I have control over that goes into my spirit. You understand what I'm saying? And so my daughter, even with her, I limit how much TV she watches. She loves to read. And I told her, I said, you know, knowledge is power, and a lot of things are in black and white, and a lot of people don't like to read. I told her to keep reading, and, you know, I said, you will just have so much knowledge, you know, because you like to read. And she's my daughter's homeschooled, and she's 10, and she reads 6th, 7th grade level, you know, and she's just coming out of the 4th grade going to the 5th.
I wish everybody could be homeschooled.
You know,
it seems like a way to develop critical thinking, social skills.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because you're interacting with your parents.
Well, not only that, it's like in the community that we live in, it's a lot of homeschool kids. And we live in a community where it's diverse. You have Caucasians, you have Black people, you have Asian people, you have Hispanics. It's everything, you know, everybody. But, you know, I want her to kind of grow up in that environment and just learn how to deal with so many different people. And I always wanted to homeschool. When I got pregnant, when I found out that I was having a daughter, I said, you know what, I'm going to homeschool her. And she's been traveling with me since she was 2 months. She's been Hawaii. She's been to Europe.
She'll be way ahead of the curve because of it.
Yeah, she's very focused, and she actually wants to go to the Olympics. She wants to do rhythmic gymnastics. So we do private lessons. She does private swimming, private gymnastics. She does taekwondo. I mean, just we always are doing things.
I thought about this before when I think about, I don't know why I think about homeschooling. I'm not going to have kids, but.
You don't know that.
I really have no desire.
Are you serious?
I'm completely serious.
Oh, man. But, you'll be a fun dad. I think so.
I like doing my thing.
I got you.
You got to give up.
Well, at least you're honest about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're not giving up your thing. You're sort of saying, hey, I still do my thing.
Well, you know, it's a very, I have sacrificed some things, but she was all worth it. And she was supposed to be here. So, you know, that's why she's here. And she's actually made me a better person that she's here. And I involve her in everything I do. She's in my videos, and I take her. She would have been here with me if she wasn't at a birthday party.
From a homeschooling position, you're dealing with the same person all the time.
Yep.
You're related to them, so they can just call you out on your bullshit. Listen, what happened here?
Right.
You just went into the 6th grade, and now you're going to change.
Right. Well, you know, my mom helps me too. My mom used to be a school teacher.
Okay.
So the beauty.
So you got it's double.
Yes.
It's double down, double trouble. Whatever.
Yeah, but you know what? And I'm not just saying this because she's my kid. She's really a great kid. So she's really focused. And she's a great kid, and she gets up. She wants to learn. Like even during the summer, we don't really stop. We keep going. Nice. And so she's been doing schoolwork and every day. But also
you can get more done in like 2.5 hours than people do all day long.
Well,
they're traveling from class to class. They're distracted from that. You get in the class, then it takes a few minutes to get into the rigmarole. Then there's a point where you sort of check out, which for me is about 10 minutes in. And then you just, you know, wait until the bell goes off.
Right.
And you're like, there's a lot of seems like wasted time in there. If you just focus and like, let's just get this work done, and then we can go hang out.
Well, you know what's interesting is that you know, I think it was Razadon actually from Arrested Development. He broke it down one day and he said, you know, Eshe, if you really think about it, you know, your kids technically they're at school maybe 4, maybe 5 hours a day, you know, and they're getting someone else's doctrine put into them. And, you know, he said, think about that. And he said, then by the time, you know, most work in America, they get home, maybe 6 or 7, they pick their kids up maybe after school program or something. All they have time to do is eat dinner, put them in the tub and go to bed and get up the next day and do the same thing. And if they have a divided household where one weekend you have to stay with the dad, one weekend with the mom, you know, he broke that thing down like hours and minutes. And I was like, that's pretty deep, you know, and I had never really thought about it to that level, but he was so right. And so, you know, with my daughter, the things that I want her to learn, she gets to learn, you know, and so we have real discussions. Like we talked about the whole case that just happened with Trayvon and Zimmerman and all of that. And that was pretty interesting having a conversation about that with a 10-year-old. So You know, we talk about a lot of stuff.
It's a fresh perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're a lot smarter. Kids are a whole lot smarter than a lot of people give them credit for. Because I work with a lot of kids. I mentor, and I love it. And I work with kids as young as 5 all the way up to young adults, 25, 26, 27 years old. So, yeah, I get a really broad perspective.
I listened to this book. I don't want to say read, because apparently if you listen to the book and you don't read it, you're not reading.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not. But this book by Howard Zinn, People's History of the United States.
Okay, I'm going to have to check that out.
Okay, so what this is doing is essentially going to the other side of the fence and going and getting their perspective on particular events, some of which are historically, in the books, and some of which no one ever heard of.
Wow.
But it was an interesting thing because I saw immediately into about probably the first chapter, like my ignorance for the fact that the brainwashing had happened.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I literally went to high school. You go to history class. Each particular semester or whatever is based on a certain, chapter of books.
Right.
You go through them. If those things are, first of all, to be able to memorize a bunch of facts like that, you can get somebody to regurgitate it on a test, but I'm not going to remember that, 15, 20 years from now. I know it went like, George Washington, and then like a few like John Adams and some other people. And then there's like Abraham Lincoln at 15. And then there's like a bunch of dudes. And then there's like Kennedy or Eisenhower. And then like, so, but what I'm saying is that you could just go ahead and get them, through the commensurate, stuff you have to know. We have 50 states or whatever, give or take whatever freaking person you're talking to,
right?
And we have like 52 states or something now. There's like Puerto Rico is like a sort of a state, but not a state. I don't know how that works, but anyway, so being able to go ahead and get through all the stuff, the rigmarole, and then you can go ahead and start teaching them the critical thinking skills to say, hey, just take all this stuff with a grain of salt because it's being recounted by who the hell knows to tell you this is how things are supposed to have happened. And so to get that perspective from another side that wasn't necessarily there to say that was wrong, they're just here to say, this is what I saw.
Right.
That was really, really crazy. And I saw that brainwashing that I had never really thought about because I always thought of myself as pretty much a free thinker and, listen to all of the information and then try to make an educated decision. But that was kind of like it stunned me. Well, it didn't shock me because I'm not shocked by much, but it just sort of made me go, wow.
Wow. Yeah. It's amazing. And it's funny that you said that about, books and history and things of that nature, because when I started touring with Arrested Development, I was like, they lied. That wasn't, wait a minute, this is not what's in the book. When you start seeing the world, you're like, hold up, so I encourage people, if you can travel and see the world for yourself, because don't take someone's word for it, truly,
Right, and it's different than seeing it on TV or in movies or something.
Exactly.
You have the smells and you have the sounds and everything else. It's a different story.
Right, because a lot of people don't even know, like even in South Africa during the apartheid, it was wealthy black people, but who knew that? You know what I mean? So it's so much.
Or in some of the places that you've gone to, would you say that there is kind of the illusion of safety is gone? Like it could be very volatile and possibly dangerous.
Well, some places that I have been are like that, but I've been to places that I didn't even know was on the map, actually. But then a lot of the places are just really cool, and it's so funny. They're more intrigued with us because they're like, oh, Americans and those black people, and they're looking at our hair, the whole thing.
Are there black people in Japan?
You know what? It is, but they're not, of course.
It's like
they're from America.
Only you guys show up and everybody's like, holy cow.
Yeah, but you stick out like a sore thumb in Japan because everybody's so little, You know what I mean?
Right.
But you know, it's amazing over there. But they love black culture. Actually, you see a lot of Japanese people with locks and braids, and people go over there and they open soul food joints and stuff like that. And I never forget. I think it was back in 2000. And this Japanese girl came up to me and she kept hitting my thighs. And she said, how I get that? How I get that? And I saw that. I said, you mean how you get
you gotta go to Brazil where they got some doctor that does it for half price.
I said, well, I was born with it. I kind of get it from my mama. So eating a lot of
the Japanese have their own style.
I love their style. It's really cool. They almost look like
their
little
own, it's their own thing.
Characters, like little.
They are. They're
so cute.
They're trying to be their own avatar.
Yeah, they are cute. The girls. I mean, I love the way the guys dress. It's really they're very fashion forward over there. So I like it.
I told Frankie I was so jealous because I've always wanted to go to Japan.
Really, you should go. You would love it.
I will.
You would love it
eventually. But he went so many times.
Oh
my God, dude.
Oh yeah.
Can you just figure out a way for me to like carry the
bags or something?
The bags or something. Be the bellhop.
Yeah, I love Japan. It's a beautiful place. I just love how they take pride in everything. You know, if someone's sweeping the sidewalk, it's done with such dignity. I just love it. I was like, we can learn a lot from them. You know. Yeah. A whole lot, but suicide rate is really high over there. Stress is really high because I guess the pressure of being perfect and honor is big to them. So yeah, but I have a lot of friends in Japan now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's one of the places, that and I think Hawaii.
No, you know what? You have to go to Australia and New Zealand. Oh my goodness, you would love it. Love it.
Well, Australia looks nice.
Australia is the bomb. Do not sleep on Australia.
You know what's weird? Like, you ever watch those back when you had a TV?
Yes, right.
Like Real World or Road Rules or something. Yeah. And they had those. They have those things where they'll like in the show they'll just be like scooping ice cream or something.
Right.
A job.
Right.
And then I don't know why they always make them have jobs. I don't understand that. And they're
funny.
always screw ups too.
And then they have like the bomb house.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah. They live in this place that's retarded. Yeah. So. But they have this. They'll always have to give them some kind of like a trip.
Yeah.
Because the place that they're in is not interesting enough.
Right.
So it's always some place. They're like, you're going to Tanzania or something. I'm like,
where's that?
I like they start screaming, getting all excited like immediately before like you. Where
is it?
Where is that?
Right. So I'm telling.
If it's not tropical, I'm not interested.
You should go to Bali. You would love Bali.
Where's Bali at?
It's okay.
Now geography is something you can teach.
Right. Well.
To some degree.
To some degree.
It has probably less margin of error than the rest of them. But they did a thing I saw on something like the History Channel or something talking about the border of the United States and Canada. And how crazy it is.
What were they saying?
Well, it's just like you would think. Let me put it on my cam so I can kind of show the audience. You would think that it would just be kind of like basically a line that goes like this.
Right.
Instead, it's like this.
Oh yeah.
These little inlays and.
Right. I love Canada, by the way. It's so clean. I love it.
I saw a picture today that said on the coffee cup, it said, "Good thing we're not a country that has to tell you that this is hot or something. We're Canada."
Oh man, that's funny. I love Canada. It's a great place. We did a lot of festivals there. I like Canada a lot. I could actually
Canada's
live
a very
there.
International place. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of different cultures together.
Yep.
But for some reason, they're sort of not like backbiting.
You know what?
Do you think that that's kind of the deal? And and if that's the case, what's the freaking secret?
I don't know. It's just the energy there is just so different. It's just
it's cold.
Well, I've been every time I go, it's not cold. So I go when it's hot.
Right.
And
I forgot that Canada does have seasons.
Exactly. Don't diss Canada. No, but it's just a cool place. I mean, everybody's just like, go with the flow. You know what I mean? That's the energy I feel.
Right, and I'm wondering how
I love it.
how just by your affiliation with, because they talk about this. I think Michael Moore, who I think is kind of a cheesehead, he made a documentary called Bowling for Columbine. And it was essentially a documentary that was talking about how violent the United States is, and then that their neighboring country, Canada, is so, that has such a difference in crime.
It
and all this
is.
stuff.
And they have
However,
a lot of strict laws.
One of the
too.
things that they tend to leave out, which happens, is the fact that it's like 300 million American citizens versus like 30 million.
Yeah.
So of course the numbers exponentially are going to go up according to the amount of the population.
Of course, definitely.
But there is something, like you said, there's a thing.
It's something it's just like when you go to Japan, it's something about Japan. It's just it's like a spirit over the land. I don't know. That's, it's the energy.
Is it maybe like a sovereign thing? Like the Americans kind of have that, I'm American. Don't tell me what to do. I'll take my guns if I want to.
You are funny.
So, because Japan is just, hey, we're Japan.
Yeah,
we're not this huge.
yeah.
We're just this. They're sort of like, hey, this is how we do it.
Right. It's
don't yell.
Tradition, and everybody's just on their way to do their job and do their thing. It's just
sign it to me.
It's different. It's very different. Even when you do shows there, they just sit there, and when you're done, they'll clap and they bow. And if they love you, they love you. They know your names. They bring you gifts. I've got some amazing gifts.
So Japanese don't like get they don't get into
sometimes it? They do. Sometimes, but that's their way of showing respect.
That's the new Japanese.
Yeah,
the older crowd are just like, hey.
No, but some older crowds, like older, the elders in Japan, they may be like thoroughly enjoying the show, but they're just sitting down, and you might see them clap a little bit. But I know we used to do venues there, and they would say, you guys can get the Japanese people up. They normally don't do this. The people that are natives there, and they would say they don't do this. And it's just a sign of respect. So they wait till you're done, and they'll go, they'll clap and they'll bow. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So, it's funny. I'm sure a lot of artists go over there, and if they're not responding like they would in America, they're like, "Oh, they hate me." But that's just their culture, So it's really cool.
I train a Japanese martial arts, so we.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we do. There's very much of an etiquette involved in things.
Yeah, a lot of respect. I love it.
Yeah, well, one that will be interesting to you, that you don't talk about anybody that's your senpai, no matter how retarded they are. You never say anything directly in a forum.
Wow.
You might say but even having a conversation off the record would probably be considered a breach of Japanese etiquette.
Wow. Yeah.
That you just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like people, I think probably because the Japanese recognize that they're already intelligent enough to all know whatever they know anyway. Mm-hmm. So why do we have to point it out to, hey man, Bob's, not pulling up the rear.
Right.
or whatever the Japanese say.
Right.
They say, onegaishimasu. I was like,
Right. I wish I could speak Japanese.
Only Japanese that I know is like, it's just techniques.
Okay.
It makes no sense. Like I can't go to like the Japanese cook on the table.
They look at you like
and
you're crazy,
say like, Shomanuchi, Iriminage, Amote. Maybe
That's funny.
You're stupid. I'm freaking Mexican.
That is hilarious.
How many times do you go to the cook on the table and it's not a Japanese dude?
You know what?
It's a vaguely Asian, Polynesian something.
Right.
You're not sure what.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
you are funny.
I try. It's all prepared here, people. I've been working on this material all afternoon.
You're so funny.
So we went over into the Zodiac, so you're like, I don't know,
right?
And then we talked about history, which we go, we do kind of know. There's some messed up stuff there. Getting into like government.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because it seems that everyone I talk to, everyone that I talk to throughout my life, there are the people that are obviously for one particular side or the other, but most people seem to be in the middle when I talk to them. Mm-hmm. And that just might be my experience. Your experience might be like, listen, I'm meeting crazies constantly. But and that was we were talking about that on a podcast a couple of days ago, about the fact that they don't want there to be a third party available, because a third party would by default would take some of the characteristics of each of the sides and then create its own situation that it would seem would be more balanced, and therefore the middle ground would be more apt to go towards. But there's something that's keeping that type of situation from evolving politically.
Oh yeah.
And that's been going on since I've been a registered voter. It's,
Right.
there's always a third party there trying to make a name, but they don't have the money, they don't have the clout, they don't have the or the Illuminati just says that's pretty funny, because we already decided a year and a half ago who was going to be.
You don't even know who they are. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So you have any theories on that? Because you're not watching TV,
Yeah,
and you're playing music, and you're living life, and you're obviously awake and aware. So
yes, definitely.
do you have any thoughts about what might be going on? Because this is what this show's about. We don't talk about facts. We don't know anything.
Right. You are so funny.
We just talk about things that are interesting, like Japanese culture, how it's different
Right,
from
right,
Americans.
right.
You can't yell, like Frankie said.
Right.
Hey, man, what's up?
Right. You sound just like Frankie. That's funny. The government is so deep. It's just, we can be here for days talking about that. It's so many layers to it. It's all.
Let me ask you something. What do you think money is supposed to represent, or what was it initially supposed to be represented by? Because money is an exchange versus just like having on your online computer doing your banking account. There's an exchange. It's basically two people agreeing that happened.
Yeah.
But where
That's
is it
the
supposed to come
question.
from? So, I mean, from my history, which is, government school, it was that the money represents the amount of gold that the country houses, like literally has, right? And so that would make sense to me, because that would be a currency that was useful, and it had its value because of its preciousness.
Right.
Then you took something and used it as a proxy and said, okay, well, this piece of paper will represent this shiny,
exactly. Yes.
diamondy, whatever. And therefore you just go do what you got to do. Then you get to a point where there's this Federal Reserve, which is supposedly like a private institution, but it's sort of connected with the government. And it's all kind of like right there in your face, but they're like, what are you going to do about it? And they basically make exchanges with these things like IOUs, and the IOUs then can be leveraged at 10 times. I think it's 10 times the amount of the initial loan. So if I loan you $1 million, you can leverage that amount at another 10 million, I think, or 9 million. Or it might be 20 million. It really doesn't matter. It's really crazy math.
Yes,
because they're
that's
essentially saying that we can go and take this. We have to hold a certain amount actually in our account, again, which is numbers. It's not, there's probably $1 somewhere in some vault somewhere. And then we can leverage it, and we're making more loans on a fictitious times that amount. And it goes on and on and on and on.
Well, here's what I think. I think it should never be anybody. But then that would definitely jack up the whole governmental system like they have it. No one should be poor. We shouldn't have homeless people. We shouldn't have hungry people. That's ridiculous to me. You have a lot of buildings right here in this city that are abandoned. What about using those places and making them for homes for people?
Well, I suggested this on the last podcast, and I was not using a socialistic type of thing. I don't believe one of the guys contributors on this shows says this thing. He says he believes in extreme liberty. I don't believe in someone telling you what you should have to do. I believe you should basically know it. If you got $600 million in the bank, figure out what it costs for you to live for 10 years the way you normally live. Add 20% for inflation, take the rest of it, skim it off the top, and go do something with it that helps things.
Right.
Because you're not using it. I mean, you can use any metaphor you want, but you have a storehouse with grain for, decades,
Right.
and you're eating fine.
Excuse me.
You don't need it. It's just it's not surplus anymore. I think it becomes something completely and totally obnoxious.
Right.
And so, and that's the thing. You could challenge people. You could say, I think, what's his name? Warren Buffett. He challenged a bunch of like super wealthy people, like Ted Turner, I think Bill Gates, to give away 90% of their wealth. Mm-hmm. And it's like there's something happens. There's some type of mental, physiological, I don't know, something clicks when these people get this thing that's an overage that they essentially feel like they have to hold on to it. It's very strange to me.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because when you pass on, you can't take it with you. So,
right. And you could leave it to your family.
Right. This is true. But it's so many people out here that could, I mean, and some people, don't get me wrong, they disconnected from the system because they wanted to. And so they choose to live on the street or anything, those type of things. But, let's talk about the people that don't want that.
Well, generally people that are on the street like that go there on their own, or their own volition, are mentally ill.
This is true too, or
you become mentally ill after you've been in that environment for so long.
And most of them, you find a lot of people that served in the military and things of that nature that are in that position now. Because I've done a lot of volunteer work at shelters, men's shelters, and feeding and talking to the men and stuff like that. And it's just been interesting, the stories that you hear. And I think about that all the time when I pass people or I give someone a meal or $1 when I see them on the street or whatever. And I'm just like, this is crazy. It's so many empty buildings and we could be doing something about it. And I know some buildings you can, get, I'm not sure what county, it may be different in different counties, but if you really research it, you can get rent buildings for $1. $1, those abandoned buildings that's just sitting there. You just got to know who to go to, the systems, the politicians that are in your community. And you can get, you'd be surprised. They have a lot of abandoned schools and stuff like that. So it's amazing the things that we could do, but we don't do.
Whenever I do seem to have see an interview with a politician,
right,
that's a smaller kind of like bottom feeder, for lack of a better term, they seem to kind of really have a very, they seem genuine to me, like they really want to do something. I don't think that the system allows for. I think if the people that are representatives of a particular state,
right,
could have their druthers, they'd say, hey, we'll just run our state, and you run your state because you live in your state. Who better to know what's going on? So, but that's what happens is there's a state situation and then there's a federal, and a federal is weird because the federal doesn't come from anywhere. And the federal doesn't have any stake in a particular region, because people do get all crazy about where they're from and
right,
what. But that is a thing, I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's an ego or if it's just trying to attempt to identify yourself with something that is constant, that you can say, well, I'm from the Northeast or whatever. But I think that that's what's happening. You have a federal government. It's basically like like the Wizard of Oz or something. It's not run by anybody.
Right.
They talk about all these crazy, I watch a lot of documentaries, and some of them talk about, projects that the government can fund because there's basically a second government underneath the regular government. And this government just does whatever the hell they want to do. Like, they're just like coming up, like if you like a video game, like this is the world, and then there's like the little world underneath where
What you said you saw this on a documentary?
I've seen this on many documentaries.
Okay, yeah.
Projects that just get funded because there's people that are up in the upper echelon that just go make it happen. Okay.
Yeah, I mean and that's I think.
What was there like?
What was there like
$3 trillion missing or something the day of 9/11? That was like a story.
And there's so many theories on what really happened.
Well, there are some interesting occurrences of news stories happening or things breaking around the same time as crazy stuff. That's one of the things that happens. And then there's another one where they basically just ignore certain things and go over and focus on really stupid shit, like, celebrity divorces and stuff.
Right. And because I think that's why reality TV is so big, because people, their normal lives are just so stressful and they want to be entertained by somebody else's craziness.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why I think it's just successful. And they're making billions.
But what you're doing is you are fostering an environment to placate. You're looking for something. What do you do when you have a baby that's crying? You make noise. You shake them. You do something to try to distract from whatever it is that's making them feel like they need to cry. It's the same thing, I think, with just human beings. You know, we allow you to have some alcohol and some, you know, some marijuana and some drugs or whatever. Don't get crazy, but just keep it under the radar, you know. But if you're going to get crazy about it, then we're going to have, because we can't have a bunch of people running around all crazy.
Right.
You know? And let me give you cheeseburgers and DVDs and, you know, 3D movies and TVs and stuff, and you should be, that'll tide you over. But you know, and you'll just go to work and you just won't rock the boat.
Right. It's so much to it, you know. But again, you have to understand that all of that is a brainwashing. It's designed to keep you in the system. You know, that's why it's so important for you to check out and say, you know what, wait a minute, hold up. You know what I mean? And it's funny. You can see it on billboards when you're in certain communities, advertisement. But then when you go in other communities, you don't see that stuff. So it's certain things that's being fed to a certain group of people and fed to another group of people and fed to this group of people. You understand what I mean?
I think that it's a catch-22, because you have stuff that you need, that people feel they're needing to be some kind of structure to say, don't let this happen. But then when you do that, you open the door for an entire, you know, just, you know, craziness that it can escalate into something so much bigger.
Right,
because
definitely.
Like the Patriot Act. That's one of the reasons why there's such a big, huge, you know, I don't want to say it's like, there's some people are like, well, you need it because you need to be able to track down the evildoers. And then you have the ones that are like, well, this allows basically the government to not have to have like a checks and balances process. They just say, hey, you're in jail. For how long? We don't know. We'll let you know. You know, I mean, being in limbo like that has got to be. There's people, and I don't follow this, but I mean, I've heard, you know, stories and stuff. But there are people that are being held right now without any kind of, you know, future plans as to what's happening. How do I, you know, what's the next step here? The federal government having a law against the state's laws that should supersede for legalization of marijuana is one thing that if you want to look at it from just a law rules standpoint, you know, a state does what it does and says this is legal. How does this other entity come in and say, okay, you don't know what you're doing because you're a state. We're going to come in and then take all of your product and all of your money and then just say, we'll let you know. So they just come in and they gank the drug dealers that they said were, as well, it was okay for you to do this. But one of the things that we talk about on this show a lot of times is just that, you have to look at the statistics and the actual information. The deaths associated with alcohol, which is legal, is crazy.
Well, it was interesting. My sister, she did a research on why they legalized alcohol. So, because it was illegal. And
I think they needed to let them do something.
And she said
they were going to lose their mind.
Well, she said it was because they wanted to make money. They needed money. So at the end of the day, it's all about the mighty dollar. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality. That's the world we live in. It's about, I mean, even the judicial system, even you have so many people incarcerated, wrongly incarcerated. I'm sure you know some people that are behind bars. I know many. So, you know.
And I know people that have been behind bars and are no longer behind bars.
Me too. Yeah. So
that's one of the things that for me is I'm very sensitive to not being in the crosshairs ever. You know, like, I mean, I keep it, you know, real close to the vest. I'm not interested in having somebody's hooks in me. But it's scary because, you know, somebody said one time, they got the guns. They can do whatever they want.
Well, it's just it's amazing. I have a friend that had a crazy situation that happened recently, and it was literally because of hearsay. It was based on no facts, evidence, anything. So it's just amazing what could be done just by me saying, I could leave here right now and say he beat me up. And if I have a scar or something like that, it can come and lock you up.
Right.
If I actually go and, pursue it. You know what I mean? It's amazing. It's really, and you may not even know that you have a warrant out for your arrest for weeks.
Yeah.
And they come and get you when they want to.
Yeah, that's also crazy.
Yeah.
I know someone that got taken to jail because they wrote a check for like $2 and something cents at Kroger, and they closed the account before the check cleared.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like 3 years later, and they just, the guy's just at his house, just hanging out.
Yeah, didn't know. Right.
Dude, you're not gonna believe what we're taking you in for.
Right.
If I was that cop, I would knock on the door and be like, "Listen, I'm supposed to take you to jail. You're not here. You need to go fix this shit tomorrow. You owe Kroger $2.15.
Hilarious. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how it works, but it does. It is what it is,
I hate that, though. I
too.
hate feeling like that. Man, you're just going to have to say it is what it is until you're dead, and then you can go cruise the cosmos and do what you want.
Is you do the things you have to do to make the changes, because that's, each generation is supposed to be greater than the one before. So
do you believe that that's where we're at?
No,
because
not
I
as a
think
whole.
I
We
think
could
about
be, though.
I think about the fact that nobody talks.
Well, here's the thing. I think with the texting and all of that has cut a whole bunch of that out, and the tweeting and all that.
But you know
right,
what?
Nobody really talks.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, the technology that you and I are doing right now is better than text. It has inflection. It has tone. It has
definitely.
humor. I don't have to show an emoticon
I'm
to
not
tell you that
I'm not a texter. I mean, I do it if I have to, but I don't like to text.
What I'm saying to you is, in 20 years from now, it's going to be retarded.
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it.
People are going to have something in front of their eye, like a monocle, and they're going to be at the post office and be like, sir, sir. Can I help you, sir? And be like, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was watching a movie.
Right.
I didn't hear you, man. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. And it's crazy because my daughter, they're talking about taking, I think, cursive writing out of some schools.
Oh, I heard about that.
And I think that is just so
weird.
Crazy. And what happens?
They'll take print and then they'll like, if you can't type, you're an idiot.
Right. And the thing
what about the kid that's all elbows?
Right. It's like, but it's so crazy.
Well, he couldn't write it either.
And that's so mean. That's so mean. But like, even with that, it's like, your muscles in your hand, you gotta develop them and use them.
That's why when I go to the post office, I feel like I am literally like I have something wrong with my nervous system. Like I can't write out an address; it's all scrawled.
But you know what? I'm so old school. I still journal. I still do all of that.
Okay,
yeah,
so you don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so
no, I know what you're talking about. When you don't write a lot and you text and you use a computer a lot, and my daughter.
It looks like some fourth grader is printing some crazy scrawl.
But what's so crazy? A couple years back, I don't know if you can't really see it on my wrist, but I get fluid on my wrist. So in this hand, and I
has to get drained.
Well, it goes down. It's like when I can press on it and it'll just go flat. I get massages and the fluid will go down. It's not hard, so it's mushy. But it's from...
This is scaring me. Have you checked this with a medical professional?
Yes, I have. But it's from dancing so much. It's carpal tunnel. And I dance since, I dance and I move my wrist a lot. Right. And so, anyways, I say that to say sometimes my hands, when I write, it gets like scribbly. Because of that, I get like, a pain and everything. And I'm just like, wow, this is so deep, and even holding the mic, sometimes I'll be on the stage and the mic will just fall out my hand, boom, hit the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we have to keep doing those things because if, they're getting rid of books in school. So now they have everything, a lot of schools, they're doing the iPad thing. So they can read on the iPad. And it's like, to me, I just love the listening to pages turn and that whole thing.
You know, that's the thing. I think that's going to happen in any generation. There's going to be a resistance to let go of something that they feel like still need. Because you know why? It's because we're all in this zombie apocalypse mode where everybody feels like just the powers is going to go out and stay out. And then you're going to have to figure out how to do stuff. And if there's no books around, we're screwed. Like, you don't want your knowledge to have to be completely and totally dependent upon a battery.
Right. That's it's crazy. So yeah, but you know, it's you know, it's the world that we live in now. But
Eshe comes back to it is what it is.
but you know,
it works, but it doesn't.
Right. I personally,
don't know what we're going to do.
I do.
I'm only going to be here for another 40, 50 years
so
anyway. And then
I'm
going to be cruising like the cosmos.
100. No, but I do what works for me and my family, and we do we do our thing. And so, like I said, my daughter, she of course has a like a little tablet, but I refuse to get her she has loads of books. Yeah, she read last summer 69 books. So we read.
I don't think I've read 69 books in my life.
We read in our household. Yeah,
in a summer.
So definitely we read. Yeah, she loves to read.
So she's just quiet.
Well, no, she's a really active kid. Like she's very energetic.
Is she acting out when she's reading? What is she doing?
No, she gets really quiet when she reads. She loves to read.
I know. I'm saying you do 69 books in summer. You're not doing a whole lot of
noise. No, yeah,
she
is
reading the whole time.
No, we're in the car. We have long drives. She'll use the book. You know, she'll read and stuff. So it's really cool. So yeah. So
are you a Sade fan?
Yes, I love Sade.
Okay, so I love her too, obviously.
Yeah.
But she said at the end of one of her concerts, she comes out and she has the rest of the crew or the band with her, and she goes, "This is us. We do what we do."
There you go.
Thank you. That was it.
I love it.
I was like, Sade. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, but
it is, that's, and I know some people like that are just like, hey, and that they do sort of come in that same category of, instead of taking one side or the other, being in the middle, listening to everything, pretty much a lot of them have the same agreement that we don't really know anything anyway, so just kind of do your thing. Keep your head down. Don't let the man get his hooks in you.
Right.
And then so, well, I was hoping for this kind of discussion because I was like, people that are like doing their thing, they want to promote their thing, and then they just want to like be a real person.
Oh no! But what's so funny is like I'm a very like a very lighthearted person in a sense. I love my thing. I love family. I love my friends. I love working with kids. I like doing those type of things. I'm real simple in a lot of ways. Yeah. I'm just not. I'm not a person. I'm not a debater.
Right.
I'm just like you. Hey, you have your opinion. I have mine. You think how you think. I think how I think.
I think when you get into a place like that, then it sort of takes some of the sting away from some of the bad stuff or the things that we know should be different, but we can't do much to change them. You become kind of impervious to it to some degree if you're just doing your thing and saying, well, and what was it? Somebody said something like. An emergency on your part, or a failure to plan on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Yeah, I've seen that posted a lot. But yeah, I think
it's always in offices too.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's about, one person. We can change one person at a time, and that can potentially change the world. So once something has feet, it can continue to move, and this person can tell this person, and this person can tell this person what they learned, and it may happen in generations. It may not happen in your lifetime.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what it's about. I believe in definitely giving back, and that's keeping your legacy alive. And so for me, I try to get as much knowledge, and I'm not saying that I know everything and everything I say is right or this, that, and the third, but what I do know through experiences, I try to share with people. Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, you chew the meat and spit out the fat. What works for you, you keep it, and what doesn't, you just toss it to the side into the trash bin. So, so it's up, and but I have I'm very compassionate about people. I have a heart for people, and I always have been like that because my mom is very community oriented. Right. So for me, that's important. And trust me, it's so much I want to learn in my lifetime, and it's so much more, that I'm going to do, and I'm just going to continue to do what I can do. Within my power, because I know I can't save the world, but I'm sure darn try to do what I can.
Well, yeah, and I applaud you. It's something that I think that I wonder. I talk to Michelangelo about this sometimes when we get into these sort of discussions. I'm wondering if we can pull out of the nosedive, if we have enough people, or is just the progress of intellectual thinking or critical thinking. Will that allow us to get back to a place, in a few generations where people are, like the Japanese are. They care about quality, and doing it right. And it's just instilled as a value. And that's something that's, like I said, it's instilled. Well, it's not something you're born with. You
learn. It's a learned thing.
Right.
Yeah, but I think also too, what in Japan, what I see in a lot of other cultures, what we don't do here a lot in America, unfortunately, is that they really, really, really reverence their elders. Like in Japan, when over there, a lot of their hosts for TV shows and game show hosts, they're older people. They are what we would consider senior citizens or the elders. And so they reverence them and they want to learn as much as they can from them. And that's what they do. You know what I mean? So I think.
Well, I think they've got cooler old people too. They got like bitchy, like
mom.
They got Mr. Miyagi, and he's like, hold on.
That what?
Always look eye.
But you know what? I just think that if more elders got with the young folks and the young folks got with the elders, and that's what I love about my mom. She lives with me, so my daughter gets to see that. My mom tells her stories, and she remembers when they had white only signs, black only signs. She remembers that. She remembers that. I mean, my mom remembers that, and she shares those stories with me. My mom grew up on a farm, and she has such an interesting life story, and just certain things that my mom had experienced I would never experience, and now she's seeing my daughter in a whole new world, experiencing things, and so it's awesome because my daughter's getting something from me, and then she's getting something from my mom, and that was a whole nother generation, so it's a beauty and all of that. And I think we need to get back to that, where family, we really are connected, and I think that's what's different about the Asian culture and our culture, because they really
we're talking about the propensity for at least American culture to not do things that are sustainable. So you Rogan talked about this and jokes about it. You can't have a tribe of 300 million people. It's a lot of people.
Right.
And, the things that are endearing to us about and that sound, collegiate or whatever, of Little House on the Prairie, and they all learn in the same room, all the different grades. And it's a small little schoolhouse, We have so many people. And the world is continuing to, I think that there's more people now alive in the world than have ever been in the history of the world since the beginning of. And again, this is history, and sometimes people think that there's arguments from archaeological standpoints of the purists that say this is how many years we think man's been around,
right? And
then you find some structures in the world that I never heard about in history class that literally are just blowing your mind and saying, no, people have been around for a lot longer and they did a bunch of stuff that we don't know how to do, or we don't know how they did it, and so that's crazy.
Yes, but that's so interesting.
Well, you think about, like, without the distractions that we all have now, what if you were just in a potential driven environment constantly from the word go?
Right.
And there was a way, because they've studied people and their ability to work
Right.
and how many hours they would naturally be inclined to work. It's like 13 hours or something.
Right.
And then they would take like a full 10 hours to recoup, and then they would do another. And I don't. These numbers might be skewed, but it was really a definite difference in the amount of time that someone could be productive and really accomplish something if they were free of all the things that were bombarding them, you know. And then now we take medication to keep us from, but then that has a side effect, you know.
Right.
You can't sleep,
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah,
it screws you for the next.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. So, you know, we have a long way to go, but I think we can start somewhere, and it's an individual commitment. You know, you taking the stance to say, you know, okay, it's not about me, it's about me helping someone else, or helping in this community, and just making a change. And you know, some people may have a love for, let me go in and train these young people, or these elderly people, seniors, how to do this, and then let me do this, you know. So I think if we share our gifts more with people, because some people are, like you said, very intellectual, then you have some people like us, we're artsy, you know what I mean, and we share that with the people in our world. I really believe that it'll be a domino effect, and then it'll just start spreading, you know. So I just think that sometimes we can be selfish as human beings. Not sometimes, a lot of times. And we want to just keep it to ourselves.
I call self-involved.
Right.
I force myself when I'm like standing in line at the post office to just keep my phone in my pocket.
See, that means that
not be like.
Yeah, so you always got to be doing something.
Because I need to be thinking sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes I don't need to be driving and have any music on.
Right.
I just need to just sit in silence and let the background fill up the
I
the
do it
space.
every morning. I get up and I meditate, I pray, I read my Bible and everything. And especially when it's raining, I love to hear the rain come down.
You've gotten a lot of that lately.
Of course. It's been crazy, right? And then I like to see the sun shine and the sun rays come through the window and all of that stuff. So, you know, it's I just try to take those moments, because as a single mom and a mother and all of the things I have going on, you don't really get free time to yourself.
Is that what happens?
You have to take it when you can. So I snatch it when I can, you know, and yeah.
Well, we thank you for using some of that snatch time to come on the Jacket Tees
You
podcast.
are welcome. Yeah, and look, I was looking at the time. I was like, oh my God, my daughter and my mom there at a birthday party, so I gotta go get them.
Yeah, you went over. You went over, Eshe.
No,
you said you're gonna be doing an hour.
No, I wanted.
You're at an hour 22.
I wanted to respect you and give you your time. I've had fun and.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Well, we will. We'll take a little snapshot of your head and put you down.
Not a head.
No, as
my head.
We have our castees on this show. We have little avatar pictures of just the guests that have been on there. So you'll get your own picture.
Oh, cool.
A screenshot. And you're welcome to come back on and talk about any projects that are coming on.
Thank you so much.
We from time to time will have a third person on here, which makes it sometimes interesting.
Yeah.
Get another perspective in there. But we don't have much programming here, so we just kind of do.
But this is
what
a
we do.
really nice setup. This is really cool. I like what you're doing, and many blessings on what you're doing. I like it. I like it a whole lot.
We're going to close out with some ill with Golden Opal. Thank you, Eshe.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you. Thanks so much.
I used to be able to effect on this thing. And I would do like a little whistle at the end.
Oh, no, that's so cute. Yeah, let me go on and shoot you right now, fam. It's so good seeing you. I love this too.
Oh, yeah.
Is this your favorite?
Yeah, and then I put it up on this one, on this side too.
This is cool.
Good night, bitches.
And we're just believing that she is healed, you know, and she's dealing with it, and she has a big family, beautiful kids, great husband. So just trying to help out any way we can. So got some of her PR friends, and we all just pulled it together. We have some amazing artists that will be performing that night, and I'm hosting. So I'm excited about that.
Okay. Are you going to be performing as well?
No. I'm just going to be running my mouth.
Fine. I'm sure you have something to say.
Yeah, just hosting and having a good time. And, you know, a lot of times I like to kind of sit back and chill and watch the other people perform since I perform a lot. So I'm
no,
looking forward to that.
I get it. I understand.
Even though I'm still working, but I try to make it, fun always.
I played 2 gigs back to back this last weekend.
Yeah.
And my body was just like, screw you.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. What the heck is this? What are you doing to me? I forget because I don't look my age that I am my age.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
39.
So, I'll be 39 in December. When's your birthday? Whoop, whoop. When's your birthday?
January 25th.
Oh, shucks. Okay, I'm December 23rd.
What is that?
What sign, Zodiac?
Yeah.
I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn.
And you are an Aquarius.
Yes.
My dad's an Aquarius.
We're the
His birthday
weird ones.
is February 2nd.
We're the ones that have podcasts in my bedroom. Next to my bedroom. So let me ask you this. So what is your take on astrology? Do you have any specific thoughts about that?
No.
Because some people swear by it. Some people think it's a bunch of snake oils or whatever. And other people, you have to sort of take into consideration that there are things that are beyond our understanding.
Of course, definitely.
So, if you gave an iPhone to somebody in the 12th century, they would think that this was some witchcraft.
Right.
They wouldn't know what was going on.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm like that with iPhone now. How about that? Yeah, I'm such a dinosaur when it comes to technology. But no, it's like you said, I know some folks that swear by it, and I don't. I think it's.
Do you tend to see some similar characteristics of some of the
I
people?
don't really study it like that, so I don't know.
Every Aquarius that I know is freaking just on their own path.
That's funny.
Every single one of them, without fail.
Well, if I had to judge all Aquarius men by my dad, I don't know if that would be right.
Okay. Then there was that thing that came up a few years ago. They talk about, whatever your sign is, you're not that. You're actually this.
Yeah. I heard that.
Excuse me.
You're funny. No, I
hundreds of years of calculations can't be wrong. We can't just one day go, wait a minute, somebody didn't hold a 2.
Right. I think
so
it's just how you're brought up, man, and just the influences that you've had in your life. And, it's so funny, I don't know, some people use, I guess, that I know, let me just say this, that I know personally may use, I'm like this because that's what a Cancer is, or a Taurus or whatever. Yeah. They use it, they want to, if they have it, right. Yeah. If they have an attitude or something, that's just how I am. That's how we are.
Doug Stanhope has a bit about that. He says, that you don't act as if your parents had sex like a month earlier. You wouldn't be, feeding me chili dogs and letting shit slide.
Right. Like you would be different. Exactly. So yeah, I think it's all in maturity and just, everybody.
This is also. Eshe is here.
Yeah. Hey.
Welcome.
Woo.
I, of course, am your host, the Wolverine. So thank you for coming on. We had a good time listening to your songs. So if you people want to hear the music, go listen to the podcast Supplemental episode 27.1, I think. And then you can listen to the music because that'll be through Vimeo. I don't want to explain how that goes anymore. Just do it. And so we talked about some of the Arrested Development, some of the soul stuff. You have any shows coming up that you wanted to promote to my vast audience?
Yes. Well, actually, I've been doing a lot of shows around Atlanta, performing a lot of my material. I've been doing a lot of hosting, and I actually have an event that I'm doing at Apache on this Thursday, July 18th, and we are raising money for actually the PR person. She was a PR person for Arrested Development for many years. Her name is Dee Dee Shosheda, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer last year. And it was just put on my heart to do a fundraiser for her. She's into the holistic lifestyle.
Right.
And I'm totally down with that because I'm into that as well. And we're raising money to just help in her healing. Everybody's different. That's all.
I don't know. Yeah. I think there may be something there. I can't. But here's my thing now. At this point, I don't know if you're experiencing the same type of thinking. I'm just really at a point where I don't really believe much of anything unless I know it from my own experience.
Gotcha. I understand.
So it's difficult for me to get on board with any of this stuff that's in the media. And there's always like a buzz thing in the media because, you know, the rest of my constituent friends of Facebook are people that, you know, stay connected with the news.
Right.
There's going to be something that's going to trickle through there.
Of course.
And then, so when it does trickle through, it happens so much that I'm like, all right, let me Wikipedia what the hell this is. What are we talking about? Trayvon and Zimmerman.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So, but immediately I started seeing these different opinions, some of them from there's one guy, and I think it was in Ohio, this black guy was just pissed off, but he was totally going off on the fact that this stuff happens all the time, and if you just because there's a race-related situation with it, and they decide to pick this one because there's stuff like this going on all the time. But there's stuff like this going on whites and whites and blacks on blacks. So their position being, if you're going to make a big deal about this, then you have to make a big deal about all the other ones that are going on. And the media tends to like to pick things that are sensational they want you to watch.
Of course, yes.
You know, and that's difficult for me to get on board with it. You know, if you had like the news, which if you think about the news is like life. Okay, there's a lot of mundane, boring, sitting in traffic.
Right.
There's a bunch of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of good stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to show the news, then it should be balanced like that.
I totally agree.
It's not. It's
No,
99.92% negative.
Well, I don't watch TV. So a lot of, when I do I'm either at someone else's house. I haven't had a television in my room, I think, for 3 years. And
Do you feel like your IQ is increasing?
You're
Seriously, I mean that sincerely. No, I'm serious.
the way you asked that was funny.
Okay. Well, Speech and I were in the same church for many years, and there was this thing that Steve Sapp, one of the ministers at the time, had challenged the church to do. He was doing it himself.
Right.
It's called a World Fast.
Yeah.
Remember that? Did Speech tell you about it?
No, I didn't. I don't remember. I don't know. What year is this? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, you kind of go like on a media fast.
Probably the 90s. Yeah, the 90s,
okay,
like 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
You can read your Bible.
Okay.
And you can talk to people.
Gotcha.
But you can't have any kind of stimuli. No music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was cool because it was kind of scientific.
Right.
You know, it wasn't getting into, because there was no mandate to do this.
Right.
You know,
did
this was
it on
just
your own personal.
a challenge. There's another challenge that says you can put, just so you can feel what it's like to just be burdened constantly, you can put like a really small pebble in your shoe. And you can just walk on it all day, knowing that the pebble's in there.
Yeah.
So that was like, that's a hard challenge to take. You're like, hell, I don't want to do that.
Right. No.
That's going to suck.
You're so funny. No, I do fast all the time, for spiritual reasons and just, I just like disconnecting from the whole world in that sense of the word, the Facebook, the Twitter.